Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has suffered a knockback, with state leaders killing off his plan to share income tax raising between them. But the premiers didn't get all they wanted. There's no more money for education and not as much for hospitals.
8 leaders with one thing on their minds: to claw back some of the $80 billion cut in 2014.
It's about our hospitals and our schools.
The Prime Minister wants the states to pay for them by imposing their own income tax.
If you're serious about reform, don't drop a thought bubble, half-baked plan that you can't even answer simple questions about.
I'm absolutely horrified.
It's not something that we will support.
Colin Barnett admitted they'd have to increase tax rates, but his was the lone voice of support.
I think the principle's right.
Welcome everybody.
In a room of gloom, the Prime Minister laid the cards on the table.
We're not here to make promises which we cannot afford, and fiscal responsibility is critical.
In the end, Malcolm Turnbull's self-titled big idea that the states raise income tax was killed off. The premiers had won, and humiliated, the Prime Minister was forced to admit defeat.
There is simply not a consensus, not anything like a consensus. That proposal is not there. It is withdrawn.
But there was agreement to consider a new arrangement to give the states a share of income tax, and they'll consider their own reforms.
But it means they would have greater freedom.
Tax reform remains on the table.
There was an extra $2.9 billion for state hospitals, but it's still far short of what the premiers were after.
Hundreds of millions of dollars today in extra funding for, say, Victorian hospitals does not replace billions of dollars that have been taken away.
And there was nothing more for education before 2018.
These should be the first calls on the nation's finances, not the last call.
His tax plan might be dead, buried, cremated, but all's well with Malcolm Turnbull and his treasurer.
Careful. OK.
Or so it was supposed to seem at this staged and awkward picture opportunity.
Let's go now to Lane Calcutt in Canberra. So, Lane, how bad a defeat is this for the Prime Minister?
Well, Georgie, it's true Malcolm Turnbull was beaten down by the leaders and somewhat humiliated. But the point is, while they want their share of income tax, they just don't want the responsibility of raising it. They don't want to have to make the tough political decisions of setting a rate and having to raise it in the future. In other words, they don't want to get their hands dirty. Georgie?
All right. Lane Calcutt, thank you.